I love space. This is where it's at.
Welcome back to My Cupcake Addiction. A couple of weeks ago, you may or may not have caught my Galaxy-inspired cake pop video where we cake popped the solar system. Well, I'd ordered this shirt online, which arrived the day after I shot that video, and of course I needed an excuse to wear it, because it's kind of awesome. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make a simple Galaxy ball cake, and we're also going to be mixing our own Galaxy sprinkles. To make your Galaxy ball cake, you're going to need black candy melts. You'll also need some edible lusters, and get creative with your colors here, don't just stick to silver. Paintbrushes, chocolate cake, and I baked a batch of my chocolate cake in a round ball tin. I'll leave a link to the tin that I used down below. You're also going to need a little bit of chocolate ganache. You can change up your flavors, but I want dark. This is the Galaxy. I also promised I was going to show you guys how to mix your own Galaxy sprinkles, so I have a ton of really fun Galaxy-inspired sprinkles that we're going to mix together for the perfect Galaxy sprinkle mix. We're going to cast black candy melts in our ball molds. You should have 2 halves of your ball mold, but first, because we know we want it to look like the Galaxy, I'm going to spread and sprinkle and kind of flick some different colored lusters in there. Go crazy. This is your Galaxy. It can be whatever you want it to be. So I've got different size paintbrushes. You can do everything from nice little streaks to just flicking and dropping little different colored pieces of luster in there. For my halves of my Galaxy bowl cake, I'm going to take black candy melts, I'm going to pour them straight in, and then I'm going to spread them using a spatula. Don't overspread here because we don't want to disturb too much of our luster. You've gone to so much trouble to get your Galaxy pattern perfect. You do want to make sure though that your candy melt comes all the way up to the outside edge. It doesn't matter if you can see some little gaps in the bottom because we're going to add a second coat, but we do want to make sure the edges are nice and thick because that's how we're going to join everything together. Drip out any excess because 2 thin coats is definitely better than 1 thick one here. These ball tins are perfectly round, which means that they don't tend to sit without wobbling around. They sometimes come with these little rings, but if you don't get a set that comes with the rings or you need to stabilize any round ball tin, you could use something as simple as a cookie cutter or a mason jar lid. These guys are going to go off into the fridge to set. I'm going to give them a good 15 minutes and then I'm going to apply a second coat of my black candy melt. Once the second coat of black candy melt goes on, they're going to go back into the fridge for another 15 minutes. And then I'm going to snap freeze them for 5 minutes. Snap freezing just means put it in the freezer. That's going to cause the candy to contract from the metal edges of your ball tin and you'll be able to slide it out really easily. While your ball is setting, you can take your cake now, and this is easiest to do if your cake is completely chilled. So pop it in the fridge for an hour or so. I'm going to slice away my bulbous top or my slightly raised rounded edge. You'll see how firm that cake is. That's because it's cold. So much easier to carve cake when it's cold. Now, because I've made my cake in the same container that I'm also making my chocolate ball in, but I know my chocolate's going to take up about this much room, you just need to trim away the very, very outside edges. Seems a shame because our cake's so nice and shiny. You can throw away these offcuts, but just hang on to this one just in case we need any filler cake to really make up our levels. Once your half cake's nice and trimmed, you just want to come around and I'm just going to roughly divide it in 2. Make this top section a little bit smaller than the middle section because this is going to be what's going to hold our Galaxy candies in place. And again with the other half. While that guy's chilling out, we're going to make our own Galaxy sprinkles. I love making my own sprinkle mixes because when you want something really specific, it's almost impossible to find it in stores. So I've got a combination of black jimmies, blue jimmies, I've got purple and silver jimmies, I've got some little colored stars with a hint of pink because I like pink. These guys here came in a little sprinkle kit, and I'll leave a link to it down below, but they almost look like moon dust. Otherwise, little silver nonpareils are super cute here. And then I've got some little shiny kind of mini nonpareils, and you absolutely must get the teeny tiny edible stars. They make this mix, and you don't need many of them to pack a pretty powerful punch. For my Galaxy sprinkle mix, I want black to be my dominant color. So I'm gonna start with 3 tablespoons of my black jimmies, and then a tablespoon each of my blue jimmies, my purple, and then my silver. I love these little moon rocks because they've got a bit of sparkle. So I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon and stir it through, but I'm pretty confident I'm gonna use more than 1. And then a tablespoon of my little black and white nonpareils, a good tablespoon of my star sprinkles, a couple more moon rocks, and then I'm gonna add a half a tablespoon at a time of my little silver stars. They can go off to the side, but that's what I'm gonna fill my piñata with. So when we cut it, Galaxy sprinkles will come out. This is how easy these should pop out. Super, super easy. You shouldn't have to coax them. You shouldn't have to really do anything with them other than just pull them out. Take a look at that pattern. So this is what putting the luster on the inside of the bowl does. And then once we're all finished, we're gonna put more luster on the outside. It's a nice start. Kind of gives us the basis for our Galaxy. Now that you know they're gonna come out quite safely, clean out the edges of your metal bowls and put the balls back into the bowl and then rest them back onto their little cookie cutter feet. This is going to help them stay stable, but it's also going to stop you getting pesky fingerprints all over the outside. Now we're going to add chocolate to our Galaxy. So I've got my ganache and it's really still quite smooth and fluid, and I'm going to pour that into each of my halves, scraping it up the sides. In goes our little small layers of cake, a little more ganache. Before I put my next slices of cake in, I'm going to cut a nice little center hole so that I've got somewhere for my sprinkles to live. Before I fill that with sprinkles, I'm going to use my little center holes and just trim them into 2 small slices and add them on top of the ganache on the bottom layer of cake. That's going to make sure that my sprinkles don't stick and they've got kind of a free little cake space to be free in, so they pour nicely when we cut. Add a couple of tablespoons of sprinkles and pack them in nice and tight, and then add another layer of ganache, but make sure that you don't go over those sprinkles. I like to leave them about 1 centimeter or so of breathing room so that I don't get ganache mixed in with my sprinkles here. Using those little offcuts that I told you not to throw away, you're going to just build up your cake on top of that ganache layer, covering the sprinkle hole to keep the sprinkles in place, and just trim it so that it doesn't go above the outside edges of the cake. Ganache it in so you've got basically a very smooth ganache covered chocolatey layer of cake with a hidden sprinkle surprise. Pop those ones off into the fridge. You have 2 options whenever you're joining a cake that's made of chocolate. You can join it together and then pipe in black candy melt, but I prefer the neater of the options, a hot skillet. Just gently place it on the top rim of each of the bowls. Then you want to pick them up carefully using a piece of paper towel or a tissue so you don't put too many fingerprints on them, and join them together. Don't freak out if they're not completely smooth here. Into the fridge so it's nice and chilled before we hit the next step. Take a heat-proof jug and fill it with the really hot water, and then you want to soak a knife in there. Drying the knife each time, just use the side edge of it to melt the 2 sides of your little ball together and get rid of any of those jagged edges that might still be overhanging. You're literally just melting away any excess and just joining it nice and neatly. I like to take a little bit of paper towel and just dip it into my hot water and then use that to really smooth off that seam. But don't worry if it's not 100% perfect, because you've got room to cover this with all of your Galaxy detail. Put that off into the fridge for 15 minutes so it's nice and chilled after all that hot action going on in our center seam. I'm going to start with a little more dry luster. I'm using quite a big brush, and you notice I'm tapping some of it off, and I'm just going to really just brush around to kind of make a little bit more of that Galaxy effect. Ooh, that's cute. Then I'm going to mix a little vodka with my remaining lusters, and I'm going to get my inner kit on and just flick and make a huge mess. I'm using different size paintbrushes and different techniques. Dragging, flicking, kind of whacking without touching. There's a few different things going on here, but this is how you're going to get a bunch of different really cool space looking, shiny, sparkly effects in your Galaxy ball cake. This is so much fun, but so messy. Finally, I'm just going to take my gorgeous little silver edible stars. Anywhere I want to stick one, I'm just going to first place a little tiny dab of water and then use that wet toothpick to pick up a single star and pop it in place. I found this really cool plate from West Elm, and I love the texture that it's got because it reminds me of the rings of some of the planets. And to stick my ball in place, because I don't want it to roll around, I'm going to apply just a very small, emphasis on the word small here, little dollop of candy melt right in the center. The cool part about this cake is that it is perfectly round. So you don't really want to be able to see any foot sticking out because that takes away from the coolness of the illusion. I'm going to make sure that it's straight and centered. When you pick it up, just place your fingers right down underneath. Again, any fingerprints, you want to keep them on the bottom. And you may just need to add a little more luster in case any of our bits that have been in the bowl got neglected. Maybe a couple of extra stars. If I stand here, I basically become one with the galaxy. I don't even think you can see the cake. This is the coolest and one of the easiest ways to make a galaxy cake. I can't cut into it now because Ollie will kill me if he's not here to see the piñata surprise. The candy inside was his idea. Do you want to see the cake I made?
Yeah.
Wait there, the galaxy's in my fridge. No looking. No peeking. Close those eyes.
I can't see it.
Always peeking. Ready?
Yep.
Ta-da!
Wow.
What do you think?
Cool. Can we smash it open and see the sprinkles?
Why would you smash it? Why wouldn't we cut it?
Yeah.
All right. Do we cut it in half or do we cut a slice? I think we cut a slice.
Yeah.
Yeah? To cut a slice, I'm going to use a super hot knife. So this is where little hands stay out of the way.
Is that a boiling water? Has that
It's
been?
not boiling because you're here, but it's pretty hot. All right, ready?
It's kind of easy to cut.
There's a mountain. There's stars. There's a galaxy inside our galaxy. Galaxception.
That is exactly how you make a galaxy cake.
That is exactly how you make a galaxy cake. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do for 2 new videos every week. And as always, thanks very much for watching. What are you doing to the galaxy, Jake?
Destroying it.
He is destroyer of galaxies. Whoa!
Whoa.
Destroyer of galaxies.
I feel popping candy in my brain.
In your brain?
To popping candy, you really like it.
Yum?
Open your mouth. Open your mouth.
What's it doing?
No.